Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our FY25 budget review for the Sheriff's Office. It's June 3rd, 2024, and the time is 9 a.m. I'm calling this meeting to order. In attendance are Commissioners Matari and Commissioner Duncan. Commissioner Brooks is still excused. We do have a hard stop at 11:30. We'll need to vacate the room for the afternoon meeting for Magistrate Commission. And are there changes to the agenda? Okay. Public comment. Okay, hearing none. We'll go ahead with our first item, or our only item, our FY25 budget review, and with our Sheriff Norris. Okay.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. I'm going to defer to Under Sheriff Brett Nelson and Stephanie.
Okay. Thank
Good
you.
morning, Commissioners. Before we proceed with our FY25 budget highlights, I'd like to bring forward to you the thought process of us putting together our budget. This year, we worked towards ensuring that we had what we needed to go forward to be most effective, efficient, and safe in providing services to the community. As we go through these highlights that Stephanie will proceed through, we have our command staff present, so if there's something you have further questions on that needs further explanation, please let us know and I'll have someone step up and give you what you need. With that, I'll turn it over to our budget officer, Stephanie Drobny.
Good morning. All right, so we're going to start off with our A budget. Please feel free to stop me if you have any questions or have any questions for them. For patrol, we're going to ask for a new NIC sergeant, which would be $125,880. We're asking for on-call pay for our detectives again.
I'm sorry, so you want me to just interrupt? Okay.
Sure.
So with the new NIC patrol sergeant, how many do we have, full-time staff do we have there now?
Right now, we have a full-time lieutenant, and then we do have an acting sergeant there for detention when we do have a detention academy. And then, do you have a patrol sergeant?
No.
Too? That's it.
I'm sorry, and a patrol sergeant?
No, we don't.
We don't. Okay.
Right now, we have a lieutenant from the jail who's overseeing the program and a patrol sergeant that's filling in when necessary for the purposes of providing instruction to the courses.
Okay, and then who is paying for all of those bodies?
NIC pays us $100,000 right now, and that was to kind of alleviate the lieutenant spot that we have there.
Okay.
We are in talks with them about raising that. I think they want to raise it to $200,000, but we're meeting on the 11th to talk to them about that.
Okay, June 11th? Okay.
This is for security there, or to do the post-training?
That is for the post-training.
No. So how much are you taking a patrol sergeant away? Like, how much time are you taking away for the training?
Right now?
Yes.
From our patrol staff? Well, that is the big draw because of our staffing at the supervisory level, that being sergeant. There is a pull at times to make it with everything else that we have to take into accrued time off, FMLA, anything of that nature. So by adding this new position, it'll alleviate the pressure on staff and patrol and create that full-time spot over there, which will make it separate and whole.
Okay. I guess just one of my concerns is the taxpayers of Kootenai County are subsidizing all of the attendees, if that makes sense, at the academy. So, because it's not just Kootenai County Sheriff's Office that goes to academy there, correct? It's a bunch of different agencies. So,
And the Coeur d'Alene Police Department also does participate with a sergeant over there as they're available.
okay. Okay, go ahead.
We are asking for on-call pay for detectives again. We are asking to increase it from $8,700 to $12,900. This is based on our spending trend. Currently, well, back in pay period 9, we were already at $6,454. And the reason why we're asking for the increase is right now they get paid when they're on call $2 an hour, but that's based, if they get called out, then it goes to their normal pay. And right now, just with the trend that we're going at, they're not getting called out. So they're getting paid the $2 an hour, which means that we're already over our normal budget of $8,700.
So, well, they get overtime when they're called out, right? If they've been over there
Yes,
allotted time. Okay, and that comes out of the overtime budget, not out of the on-call budget.
correct.
Okay, so the on-call amount that you've asked for in the past has only to do with the hours that they're on call but not actually called out and working.
Correct.
Okay?
In admin, we're asking for an increase in our overtime budget from 2,500 to 13,500. This is increased due to our 3-year trend and then our background staff working additional hours to process new hires in a timely manner. In admin, we're asking for a new background specialist, which would be $68,142. It's a new position request to offset workload in the background section due to ongoing vacancies.
Real quick question. What are the vacancies right now? And wouldn't those positions, if they were filled, help alleviate the workload, or these different vacancies?
These are, from what I'm understanding, is the vacancies for the entire sheriff's office. So,
Okay. Okay, so it's not vacancies in that department, it's vacancies throughout that they're filling?
correct,
Got
that
it.
we're trying to help fill them.
Okay.
In the jail, we're asking to increase our overtime budget from 925,000 to 1.2 million. When we did the projection for the end of the year, we're already looking at 1.8 million.
But as you get those positions filled, obviously that number goes down. But
Correct.
so what about the salary savings? Doesn't that go to covering the overtime?
Yes, and Brandy might be able to speak on that.
There won't be any salary savings this year. It's all being used up by the new detention matrix. So there's a possibility the JLA budget will go over. Same with 911.
Gotcha.
But historically, yes, if you don't make any huge mid-year changes, open positions does help to offset the overtime.
Okay, thank you.
In the jail, we're asking for a new clerk, warrants records position, which is $65,160. This position is being requested to pick up the workload that has been handled by a temporary seasonal employee who recently retired.
And then will those funds be able to be applied to that?
What funds, I'm sorry?
The temporary seasonal employee funds?
How much was the temporary seasonal person?
I believe
That
we're
we're
right on
offsetting.
track in using that salary, right? The temp seasonal position?
So that person, did they come out of the jail's temp seasonal budget?
Yes.
So that budget is 63% spent for the year, so about right on track. So that's a separate budget, and they haven't asked for an increase to that. So I guess if a seasonal employee is retiring, the question would be, if there's no replacement to them, could you reduce your seasonal budget?
Right.
But if they say, no, we're gonna need that entire amount plus this new position, that's kind of the logic, I think, is,
Well, the question is it an offset? Are we-
yes, and it would only be an offset if they reduced their temp seasonal budget, which they are not at this point. So I don't know if they would want to do that or if they're gonna need their entire temp seasonal budget.
That would be a question for Captain Hyle, I don't know.
You know, I'll speak on behalf of Captain Hall. I believe we want to keep that temp seasonal budget separate and ask for this new position to be funded for the purposes of allocating that workload, because the temp seasonal do our transport, extraditions, and everything of that nature. We've been having a hard enough time trying to maintain that budget. By adding a temp seasonal position, I think would be, as a records, I would rather separate that and just make it a separate new position.
Yeah, I think, for now, I'd want to leave it because the temp seasonal, we're not capped on how many people we can hire for that. But if we fill this and see that we're not spending that much money out of the temp seasonal, we could lower it in the future.
How much is the temp seasonal budget?
Do you know?
I don't have all.
It's currently $245,000. So we increased it from 23 to 24, from 85,000 to 245, because I believe they use that also to pay, like part-time detention deputies, I think, and it helps offset. It was cheaper, the way it was explained to me, to do that than more overtime for existing deputies. So that's part of what that helps pay for.
But this new hire, this full-time position could probably easily offset some of your temporary. Would you be willing to do that? Just
We have
make
the
it a.
ability to, yes.
I mean, if you have 200, what, 45,000, you say?
Yeah,
And they're right on track right now with that position
No.
that's gonna be vacated,
Yeah,
so,
For using that amount?
yeah.
Or,
yep,
So, yeah,
that's fine.
Good.
That's
yeah,
fine.
okay, all right.
In the jail, we're also asking for a new property and evidence specialist, which would be $68,142. This position would be responsible for organizing and tracking all inmate property to include after they depart the facility, as well as attempting to contact former inmates and family and friends to pick up inmate property. They would also be responsible for proper disposal of abandoned inmate property according to appropriate laws and would be the custodian of video evidence produced by the jail.
Okay, and then on this one, who's doing it now?
Everybody on the staff, there's nobody dedicated to it, so it's, everybody's taken away from whatever their job is to try to handle this. But the property of inmates who have already left is kind of falling on the wayside, so we're storing a bunch of property without really having a good handle on it. So we need to hire somebody to do just that.
Okay, and then this would actually free up detention deputies' times.
Yes.
In the jail, we're asking for custody tech step increases, $72,147, in an effort to attract and recruit custody technicians. The personnel administrator and the HR team suggested bringing in new custody techs at a step 5 to be more attractive to new hires, which is 97% of market. If approved, we would request to move the current employees forward to alleviate compression where applicable.
How many empty positions do you have on this?
Custody text, Jeremy?
8 or 9
And
out of 16.
Are you getting any applications?
We are. It's getting them through the background process.
Is that where they're kind of falling off?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a new request this year for on-call pay for maintenance, which would be $15,165. For our maintenance department is responsible for multiple buildings for the sheriff's office, which are used 24 hours a day to include the jail and dispatch. When something breaks or is in need of repair after normal business hours, especially at these 2 locations, it needs to be addressed immediately to ensure operations are not hampered and inmates are safe and healthy. We're asking for on-call pay for the designated maintenance person to ensure they are available during their on-call time to respond immediately for requests.
Are you having trouble getting them to respond now?
We've had a couple issues where I believe there were plumbing issues or something that we needed them immediately, and although they were designated to be the on-call person, they were busy and we couldn't force them to come in. So if we pay them on-call pay, we can ensure that they can come in a timely fashion.
Okay.
Our last A budget request is we're asking for a driver's license stipend, $4,998. This pay is a special duty stipend for terminal agency coordinator. Responsibilities associated with ILETs and NCIC supervisory requirements. This was equitable to the other county positions with same duties. So we're asking for stipend pay for the 2 driver's license supervisors.
Okay, and what are the other county positions that are getting that pay?
Captain Deep?
Do the record section. Once dispatch.
Okay, all within the sheriff's department? Okay. All right, because I think we have some other ones throughout the county as well that we may need to address that if we approve this one. So,
We just kind of highlighted some B budgets that decreased within the sheriff's office, which would be the shop, OEM, civil, animal control, detectives, vessel, and jail commissary. One budget that stayed flat was jail overcrowding. And then the following B budgets are ones that increased. We had driver's license for Coeur d'Alene increased $12,550 due to non-cap request for a live scan plus fingerprint scanner, which is required for CWP processing. $8,950. And 4 Q-Stick controllers for the QLess app that are $900 apiece. And then they requested $2,600 for travel and training. And I wanted to note that they have not asked for travel and training money since 2020.
Okay. And then, is there a reason this is, oh, I guess it's because it's 8,900, because that's, makes it the non-capital versus capital? Yeah.
What do you,
So, I mean, just because it's a high dollar, but our $10,000 cap is why it's under that.
Oh,
and
why
not
it's in non-capital?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because
Yeah.
$10,000 is the max for capital, but there are certain items that can still be considered non-capital. If you have $200,000, $400,000 worth of radios, that's still non-capital because each radio is below
Right.
10,000.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, are there fees that you can charge to offset some of these? For some of this normal processing?
Captain Deke?
No, it's a state.
That's a state set fee? Okay.
For the Post Falls Driver's License Office, we increased $16,526. Also for the non-cap request for the live scan plus fingerprint scanner, $3,300 in office supplies, which they're asking for 5 Office Star Pro Line chairs and 2 cash registers that are $300 apiece. $3,500 of that is the annual contract increase for the armored car transport service. 911 increased $404,000 due to now purchasing, storing, and managing all the sheriff's office radios in their budget.
Which budgets decreased then to make up that 404,000?
Patrol, jail, am I forgetting any of those? Patrol and jail?
Is it a straight across?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
All right, and then that's not our E911 restricted funds, that's property tax funds,
no,
correct?
it's property tax, correct.
Okay.
In E911, we increased $58,653 for non-cap requests for 2 APX 8500 mobile radios that are $16,500 apiece, and then 1 BKR 9000 radio that's $6,353. It increased $49,000 due to Motorola and CallWorks hardware maintenance contracts. And then building and repair and maintenance increased $15,000 due to the Canfield Road maintenance cost.
Okay, and how many APX 8500s do we have now?
That's a good question. Colin's not here, he's on vacation.
Okay.
But the purpose for this is we're upgrading our gateway system for Post Falls and police departments, so we can have better communication with the fire department. And so that's the purpose for this, is to upgrade that system so we can have better communication. Right now, there's an issue with the gateway and a delay that's not very clear, it's kind of muffled. We have to solve that.
Okay, thank you.
For our records department, it increased $8,950 due to non-cap requests for also a live scanner plus fingerprint. This one will be used to provide public fingerprinting services instead of using a digital format and manual ink pads. This unit will also be a backup for CCW and RSO fingerprinting if needed.
Okay, and then since Records is no longer doing CCWs, and we've got them at the 2 driver's license places, what else does Records fingerprint for? Just the public when they need it?
Like backgrounds or
Teachers, nurses, things like that, have
Yep.
background on, have that cards.
Perfect, thank you.
in our admin department, we increased $207,000. The admin budget absorbed a couple of departments, which are evidence, sex offender, peer support, and chaplain expenses. So several of the B budget lines have increased a little. Utilities increased $70,000 due to moving costs from all other sheriff's office budgets to admin due to the KC North move.
So are there, like, the 207,000 deducted from other line items then throughout the county? Okay,
Our non-capital decreased by $318. This year, we're asking for an evidence vertical fire resistant cabinet. That is $1,865. We're asking for an outside evidence consultant specialist to come to KCSO and conduct an evidence audit. which is $12,250. And lastly, we moved our janitorial supplies from our maintenance budget to admin due to the CSO North move. 18,000, or that was $18,750. And then our telephone cost increased $33,727 to align with spending trends, and travel and training increased $63,168.
So who does that cover? What kind of training for that?
All of our command staff, anybody in admin, like personnel staff. Now it's evidence, backgrounds, peer support, all the chaplains. Anybody else I'm forgetting?
About how many people?
Oh. I don't know.
Andy, how many peer support and chaplains?
Let's see, 30.
10 chaplains and roughly 20 peer support.
So 30.
So we're looking close to 40 to 50 people total. Okay,
What exactly is the telephone expense?
We have to pay all the deputies, anybody that has a phone, everything comes out of admin when we pay that bill every month.
You talking about their cell phone?
Yes, their cell phone.
Okay.
And their data cards that they put in their laptops, we pay for those.
So this isn't expansion, this is just the increases that are going with it?
Right.
Okay.
For VSAR, we increased $4,770 just due to inflation prices and safety and miscellaneous supplies and our current spending trends, and then adding new members to the team. This budget is donation supported. In patrol, we increased $91,070. Our sheriff's office, we moved all the fuel from the patrol, we moved all the fuel from all the other sheriff's budgets to patrol, because now we're gonna have one gas pump at KC North.
Are you going to get savings with that? Do you expect?
Yes. Yes, by doing so, we're gonna minimize the outside use other than specific groups that'll be using the other pumps within the county. So by doing so, we'll be able to get a discounted rate by buying in bulk.
Our weapons and self-defense line decreased by $22,193. For non-cap safety supplies, we're asking for 10 gas masks. We've added a new insurance deductible line for $21,000, which covers our fleet crashes, and each deductible is $7,000. We never had that line in our budget before. Our yearly TASER 10 contract cost is $70,887, and then travel and training increased $18,390. Our SWAT budget increased $6,411 for uniforms. It's $2,000 to outfit new members. Weapons and self-defense equipment, $2,385 for night vision goggles, 2 AR rifles, and 2 40mm launchers with lights. Non-capital safety supplies, $1,936 for 2 gas masks and a voice projection with microphone.
when folks transfer out of the SWAT, do they take their night vision goggles with them, or does it stay within the?
No, it stays with the team, but we've been purchasing 1 or 2 a year to try to outfit the entire team with serviceable night vision, and the cost of night vision has just gone up, and we haven't got to the point where everybody has a good serviceable set yet. So hopefully we can stop buying them at some point in the future.
Thank you.
Our maintenance budget increased by $26,614. The janitorial service contract increased $41,000 due to adding additional buildings to be cleaned. Non-capital request increased. He's asking for a CNC plasma cutter and table, a table saw, and a chain hoist. We added a new line to cover facility damages caused by inmates, $15,000. And then with the KCSO North move, maintenance took over the Marine Shop building at the government area, which increases their budget by $12,695 for electrical expenses.
Okay. The $15,000 damages by inmates, what are we looking at now, like the last couple of years? What's the trend? Do we have that?
Honestly, I think last year was $29,000. So we're just trying to put something in that line to alleviate Tom's budget.
Okay.
And it was never tracked before until last year.
Thank you.
The jail increased their budget by $691,716. The majority of the increases are gonna come from the following. Electrical, natural gas went up 46,771 due to our current spending trend. And then we're anticipating for the completion of the 2 jail pods, which will add 108 more beds by the end of FY '25. Contracted food service increased 39,210. The Summit Food Services have advised their increase will be at the rate of 15% for FY '25. And then we have the breakdown for what each meal is. Contracted medical services, 523,245. This line item pays the contracted amount for in-house jail medical and mental health care services provided by our contracted provider. This is year 4 of our 5-year contract that we signed with Vital Core.
Are we going out to bid?
I believe next Tuesday's business meeting, we're opening the RFPs. So those numbers could all change.
Thank you.
Our ammunition and gun supplies increased by 19,998 due to KCSO switching to G9 duty 9mm ammo. Uniforms increased by 17,000 due to the new higher jumpsuit allowance and jumpsuit replacement program. Yearly TASER 10 contract is $31,104. And then our inmate extradition increased $9,032 due to spending trends in all the lines of airfare, lodging, and auto rentals. Our jail detention response team increased $30,525 for AR patrol rifles, for 5 of them equals $6,000. 9mm practice rounds, $3,857, and non-capital safety supplies, riot armor gear, riot armor kit, $6,000, and then their travel and training went up $12,050.
So is this a new program or is this an existing?
I believe it was a new program last year, so this is the second year of this. The team has been in existence for many years, but it didn't have its own budget, so we're trying to professionalize it and be able to track what that team uses and spends on its own outside of the jail budget.
Okay.
Jim, you want to speak to the acquisition of the ARs and why we're doing that?
And the undersheriff would like me to speak about the patrol rifles, the ARs for the detention response team. The reason we're doing that is the main purpose of that team is, they have many uses, but the main purpose that we find ourselves is high-risk prisoner transport. And with that, they moved Renfro several years ago, the most recent Dan Howard, and then many people in between. And with the I don't want to say fear, but the concern of either them trying to break out or somebody trying to break them out, just like happened down in Boise. We would like to have them armed with patrol rifles with silencers and everything that to match what patrol has for self-defense and protection of the inmate.
And from a liability standpoint, everyone's using the same weapons platform. So there can't be somewhere down the road in a legal setting where they say that this group was not provided the same armament that a normal patrol deputy would.
And if I may just add, Sheriff Bob Norris, not only in the high-profile events that we see many other events that are not high-profile, such as murder suspects who have a criminal history of a conviction for murder from Washington, come over here, go to jail, and then they feign an event, and we have to house them at Kootenai Medical. These, I won't say they're common, but for every one high-profile event, we have 2 of these type of events that occur on used to be an infrequent basis, but they're starting to be more frequent. And the most recent one was a murder conviction from the state of Washington.
Now we're on to our capital requests. For E911, the restricted fund, it's asking for a track side-by-side, $60,000, which would provide winter communication site access within the 911 communications team. It's asking for an APX Consulate Editions, $35,000, provides a radio for a system talk group that is needed during site trunking and recording. Canfield and Hoodoo battery banks, $100,000. This will replace aging battery cells prior to failure and increase runtime length. Canfield HVAC replacement, $25,000, replace equipment experiencing issues and failures. A CCGW replacement, $100,000, replace end-of-life and soon not supported by the Motorola system. Communication service monitor, $57,000, would like to add an additional communication service monitor that is smaller, more field portable unit. 2 service monitors will allow the 911 communication section to test more than 1 radio at a time when completing large radio reprogramming or fleet tunings.
Back to the side-by-side. Couple of questions there. How do we get there now?
Right now, we have to utilize rec safety, and if they're busy on a call, we can't go with that. So we're dependent on other sources to get up there.
And how often do you have to go there in the winter?
Probably a couple times a year, imagine at this point. But we don't do any site maintenance during the winter because we don't have the ability to go up there. With this vehicle, they'd be able to go up on a monthly basis or every other month to check on sites and make sure we don't have any issues that we have to fix. That we don't. If we wait till spring, there'll be more of an issue.
Okay, and do you know what we're giving up in that 911 restricted fund to fund the $60,000?
Well, we're not doing the station alerting that we were planning on doing before, so that money's rolling back into the fund balance for the 24 fund. We couldn't get buy-in for the fire departments for that project at this time.
Okay.
So there was about $900,000 getting put back into the fund balance.
Thank you. Lieutenant Higgins, is that me?
For detectives budget, we're asking for 2 vehicles that are $104,000. The requested vehicle to replace ones that are past their safe service life. These are non-specialty vehicles that need to be of varied styles and colors for the use of detectives.
Do we have any quotes on those?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah, we do. They're attached to the budget.
Okay.
And the $104,000 includes the 2 vehicles and the outfitting for them.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioners, if I could, those might go away though. Those are vehicles on the lot right now, and come time to purchase these,
Right.
we don't know what's gonna be on the lot at the time.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
For patrol, we're asking for a backcountry truck, $85,000 to replace aging truck that currently has 97,000 miles. This truck has had many mechanical failures and overheats when towing heavy loads. Backcountry deputies respond to emergencies in the backcountry and must be able to rely on their vehicles. No other vehicle in the sheriff's office fleet is set up like backcountry trucks, and there are no spares.
Okay, any restricted funds being used for that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
No, right now it's just budgeted for tax.
Okay.
I think before we used part of their vessel or snowmobile fund balance, so that might be something to talk to Ryan Miller about.
Right.
Because he has quite a bit of vessel fund balance,
Okay.
but I don't know if that could go towards it or not.
Commissioners, the problem with some of those funds is also, we have a boathouse that we're gonna have to replace, that we're gonna have a large scale addition to. Those funds are gonna be depleted for other areas that are gonna be needed. And we currently have, not as much revenue coming in as we used to, due to some of the previous things that have been cut from the revenue streams coming in.
Okay, we included the 10 patrol vehicles. I know they've already been approved and they're on order, but we wanted to put them in here and because if we pay for them before October, it'll come out of fund balance, but if we don't, it'll come out of the budget.
Yeah.
For admin, we're asking for a Spillman Flex data replication, which is $15,753. This will replicate data for our Flex server to a secondary server, which will broker, control, and limit access to data for multiple third-party applications while maintaining security of CGIS. For animal control, we're asking for a truck, $51,000. and a horse trailer, 20,000. We currently have 2 animal control trucks that are currently over 100,000 miles each. We have had discussions with the fleet management team about the current vehicles that we have being used as a trickle down for other locations that would still provide useful years of service. The horse trailer is needed to transport livestock during emergencies, including fires and other natural disasters.
How often have you needed a horse trailer in the past?
Commissioner Kevin Smart for the record. It's a handful.
Yeah, I think we've been letting you get away with that, but sorry, we got to come to microphone.
That varies obviously year to year, but there's been a handful of times throughout the year that we have animals that are seized, animals that are found loose in the areas out there roaming the northern areas that we put them in the horse trailer, we take them down the fairgrounds until we can find the owner to come and claim that back. So I'm gonna say probably about 5 to 6 times a year right now on average. But anytime a wildland fire sparks off, we're also gonna be asked to draw upon that same resource to try to facilitate some of these, because some of these people just don't have enough room in their own trailers to get all the animals off as they would need.
And what do you do now?
The current trailer is in disrepair. It's gonna cost a lot more in maintenance and to get it back up and running and serviceable to be able to haul anything of significant value.
Thank you.
For our maintenance department, we have the driver's license lobby remodel, which is on here, $110,000 to relocate Coeur d'Alene driver's licensing to the KCSO building on Government. But we got a quote from maintenance on Friday, which is actually $146,188. But Brandy says that that would have to be approved by you guys to increase that in the budget. 911 HVAC, $30,000. The 911 HVAC is at its end of life and is in need of replacement. New HVAC equipment will provide another 15 to 25 years of life. Powder coated oven, $29,000. This will replace our current oven that is failing and unreliable, which will in turn continue access for powder coating services internally as well as countywide. Lastly, we're asking for a spray booth, $17,000, provide a safe and contained area for staff to apply caustic and unhealthy materials. We currently spray inside our shop or outside.
How often are you spraying? Okay.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Sorry, Tom.
Tom Reed for the record. We spray daily. The jail is basically made of brick and metal, so we do a lot of bunks, so we do a lot of wood and different projects, so we do a lot of paint spraying.
And then the powder coating, how often do you do that?
We do that quite a bit. Again, with the bunks, we'll powder coat the metal in the shop, and we've created brackets, counter brackets with our CNC, and then powder coat those.
Are you using a respirator while you're doing this?
Yes.
Okay. So this really is for the quality of the product more so than the,
Well, our health, yeah, I mean, we're spraying directly in the shop,
yeah.
and then or outside depending on the weather.
Okay.
And then, that answers those questions. The 911 HVAC, is that something that we can use the funds for, the restricted funds?
Lieutenant Higgins for the record. The HVAC that's being replaced is for the building and not the 911 room. There's three separate HVAC systems. 2 of them can be paid for by E911 funds. This one is not.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and for the jail, we're asking for a booking area mesh, $61,000, to build a metal mesh cage around the open sitting area and booking. This will prevent them from wandering around the booking area and approaching the booking island. It also provides an extra cell to secure inmates. This will increase the safety and security of inmates and staff in the booking area. We're asking for a vacuum sealer, 17,000. This machine is used to vacuum and seal all inmate property, including winter coats and boots, into one property bag. The machine will deplete the air out of the bag and provide a seal so the property can be compacted for storage.
And we have a quote for that?
Yes, we do.
That just seems kind of high, but, okay.
We're asking for an iStat machine, $14,000. Will obtain real-time lab results for patient care in order to provide efficient, timely interventions and ultimately reduce send-out cost. This machine will allow us to reduce the amount of hospital send-outs that are not truly emergent, thus providing a
Fiduciary asset.
fiduciary asset to Kootenai County and Vital Corps. Property room conveyor system, $59,000. Our current property storage system will now support an additional 104-bed inmate facility. This conveyor system will turn our property room into a dry cleaners type storage rack with a moving conveyor system where inmate property bags can be stored. The new program requests we have are for patrol. We're asking for a Leo Web program, $7,000. This program will assist deputies by removing their private information from the internet. We have experienced recent examples locally where an officer involved in an incident received death threats via email, telephone, and at their residence, all from information being located online. This program will help keep our deputies safer. Kootenai County spent a large amount of money on an overtime detail due to threats being made to them. Other LE agencies are providing this to their employees.
Do you know which ones, and is it the union that's providing it, or is it the agency?
Well,
No.
I'll get the answer to that.
Thank you. Thanks.
I did hear Coeur d'Alene provides it, right? Vigilant Solutions, $21,000. Vigilant Solutions is a license plate reader for patrol vehicles that would allow each of our new patrol vehicles to scan and read license plates and get real-time alerts if the plate is attached to a stolen vehicle, missing person, wanted person, or other criminal investigation.
So on that one, I probably would, I don't know, the warrantless surveillance is the first thing that comes to my mind. So I'm gonna have to think on that one and maybe get some community input on that. So,
Okay. And then we have onboarding for, if the NIC new sergeant is approved, we would have the onboarding cost for $94,000 for the vehicle that they would need.
and of the 8 vehicles that are approved for this year and the 45 that have been approved in the past, there isn't anything extra? I mean, we're down how many people in patrol? I mean, would this, if we approve the sergeant, would this absolutely be necessary for this particular, when they're just responding to one place every day? Is that,
Yes, go ahead.
Certainly think that Again, Kevin Smart for the record. Certainly think that we could certainly find a trickle-down vehicle. Again, that might be held back from the ones that we are already entertaining giving up with this recent 8 that we submitted. So instead of giving up all the 2, we would give up just the 1. However, I see it being plausible. Again, it is a new position, and so it's in there as just, you know, as such of, hey, it's a new deputy's position that we're gonna backfill of this moving up. So that's mostly why I think it's in there, is it's an onboarding cost of a new position.
okay, and then, what are we doing with the 40 cars that were replaced by the 45 last year?
Many of them will be going to auction just due to life and the amount of wear and tear that they've sustained at this time. And certainly many more are up if anybody wants them, and nobody ever reaches out, to be frank, nobody wants them. You know, we put it out in the past, hey, we've got these vehicles, and people balk at it, you know, it's got 150, 160,000 miles themselves, and that's not fun to jump into, you know, even from another section of, you know, the county. It's hard to get into something like that. And that's, again, it kind of goes back to, if we get into some newer fleet stuff of patrol, we're gonna push out a little bit better quality to trickle down. That might get a little more buy-in from others going, I can reasonably step into a 100,000-mile vehicle as opposed to 150 that's still gonna need all this maintenance.
Sure. Okay, and then auctions happening this summer, this fall?
Yeah, they usually start here in the spring, the winter, the auction houses pretty much shut down for those types of,
Okay,
equipment that go out there, and so Russ usually ramps that up here coming up.
perfect, thank you.
But you get just,
Pennies on the dollar out
yeah,
there.
you don't get much for those vehicles.
Not many people want those either. Parts, and Russ does try to do a great job with parts that we can, hold some of these vehicles, if it's a door quarter panel, sometimes Russ can do some swapping out of those things when we have a fleet crash or whatnot, so we hold back a couple of cars for that reason. And again, some of those are also being trickled down to pushing out Crown Vics that used to be in our E-Box section, and, we're using these vehicles all the time now for our pit training and stuff like that, so it's the same platform, so we're training in the same vehicles that we're in. So we have kind of moved some of those to other areas that are still helping us out.
Perfect, thank you.
The last thing we have is our jail 5-year plan. We're asking for the public safety building sliders replacement, $67,830 to replace failing and end-of-life equipment with new repairable equipment.
And I saw those. I like the new system.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, anything further?
No, I think we just need to look through this and just try to discern, what we can keep in here and what, what we might have to push off a year or so.
And then can we get an updated organizational chart? That'd be helpful. This one's from 2019. I haven't been able to find anything since then, so. Huh? Oh, perfect. Thank you. So, all right, I would call for public comment then. Anybody on the phone? Anybody online? No one in person. 9:46, meeting adjourned. Thank you.